just ask for your attention. Please continue eating, but I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. Anne McDowell is a positivity and transformation specialist, an author, speaker, change consultant, career and life coach. Anne is a transformational mindset and attitude shifter who coaches entrepreneurs, corporates, and motivated individuals all over the world who are struggling with mindset, leadership, and bouncing back from life's challenges. Anne's background is vast and varied within the HR space. As a transformational transactional change specialist, leadership coach and facilitator, and HR professional with a master's degree in HRM, she specialises in leadership and organisational change. Anne has spent the last 25 plus years in wide spectrum and specialist people-driven HR, including instructional design of accredited learning and training, specialist recruitment and career outplacement coaching and change programs. Having authored 2 international award-winning books, Creating Eternal Optimism, Redesign Your Thinking, and Transforming Your Life in 30 Days, Anne helps people to focus on becoming problem solvers, not problem dwellers and retellers, because she believes that life is meant to be enjoyed, not endured. Please welcome Anne.
Dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's still quite morning. I'm absolutely delighted to be here today. I might actually need my specs. So I'm to be here today with so many smiling faces, some of whom I recognise. The 2023 International Women's Day theme is Cracking the Code, Innovation for a Gender Equal Future. And I'm calling this Creating Opportunity for Equity. And everyone, excitingly here today, can help with this. The opportunity from Rita to speak to you today came through Assistant Governor Laurie Easter. Laurie Easter has known me on a professional basis for 25 years in the HR and L&D space, and now as a lifelong friend. And in providing me this opportunity, it helps me create opportunity for others. Thank you, Laurie, and thank you, Rita. My connection to Rotary began in 1976 when my father, now past Assistant Governor and Sapphire Paul Harris Fellow, Chris McGrath, was invited to join Waratah Club by the now District Governor Brian Atkins, past District Governor Brian Atkins. In 1978, we hosted our first exchange student, Lonna, from Denmark, who I'm still lovingly connected to 45 years later. Lonna was the first of many exchange students that we had come to live with us, as my father went on to serve as District Youth Exchange Chairman amongst many other district officers. Rotary gave me an opportunity to fulfil a dream, and I was an exchange student to the USA in 1988, to District 743 in Pennsylvania, USA, where at age 17, I was invited to address the International Convention of Rotary in Philadelphia that year on the benefits of youth exchange. I met Chuck Keller, the then World President of Rotary International, while visiting Rotary International headquarters at Sears Tower in Chicago on our youth exchange grand tour across 33 of the states. And I know that your current international president, Jennifer Jones, is the first woman to hold this position. What a woman. Delightfully described as an ever-ready bunny of energy, with her vision Imagine Rotary, her concept sits nicely in what I'm going to talk to you about today, because her vision Imagine Rotary sits nicely because you have to imagine opportunity with your mind before you can see it with your eyes. After influencing my 2 host sisters to also become Rotary Exchange students, one to Denmark and one to France, upon returning home, I became a senior member of Rotex, which was the past exchange students group who served the district and gave back to the organisation that gave us so much. Our function was to have a voice in choosing the yearly intake of outgoing exchange students based on our abilities to cope with often confronting situations in foreign lands. And I had a couple. In 1992, I went to Ryla and when was invited back to be a leader in Ryla in 1993. Because the experience was so fabulous, I encouraged my sister to participate in Ryla also, and she was also invited back to be a leader. Then there was Rotaract for a little while, so my history with Rotary runs deep. Laurie's suggestion for me to be a speaker today is because my background is vast and varied within the people side of HR, in my one-stop consulting shop of 20 years this month. I'm the Positivity and Transformation Specialist, and I'm a specialist across a number of areas. And Laurie knew me before even this venture took place. I offer a range of consultancy services business to business, as well as a wide range of coaching and career services to the individual. All of this is backed up by a master's degree in organisational change and leadership in the HR stream. I was invited to do a PhD in this area, however, life took me on a different path. As my beautiful friend Kylie Smiley in the audience today can attest to, I'm a marketer's nightmare because I don't actually fit into a category, and she'll attest to that. I don't like to be pigeonholed, and I don't like to limit myself to one aspect of HR. My life's purpose is to help as many people in as many different ways as I have the opportunity and capacity to do so. I could be leading a strategic organisational change, corporate recruitment or redundancy program, then pivot to coaching executives in leadership, and then pivot to writing someone's resume or helping them, indeed, pick up the pieces of their shattered lives or career. I relish to pivot between opportunities because it keeps me fresh, keeps me relevant, and the bottom line is it keeps me helping people that need the help. And I love helping people solve problems because problem solving is the key to success in life. I've developed a theory in my business that in times of adversity or challenge, people have now forgotten how to be problem solvers. They really have fallen into a trap of becoming problem dwellers and retellers. That's what I like to call it. That is, dwelling in and retelling the same story of injustice on repeat. It's so simple to tell everyone about who and what has done you wrong on repeat. But it does not fix the problem. It just keeps you stuck in that mud. This repetitious behaviour of drama storytelling becomes habit forming, unfortunately, and turns an insatiable craving for sympathy and attention, and it becomes that. And that's because the problem is not solved, it is just relived. It then completely takes over a person's life, and they become fixated on the feeling of injustice and the feelings of injustice, and rather than problem solving and moving past it. So as a mindset coach, I provide opportunities for people to think differently and to decrease the need for dwelling in and retelling their drama story so that they can get back on their feet, they can move forward, and they can regain their confidence. To aid me in doing this, I authored a book, which Leah told you about, which is Creating Eternal Optimism, Redesign Your Thinking and Transform Your Life. Because I believe that life was meant to be enjoyed, not endured. Mindset, which is the modern word for attitude and how we think, is a very big part of how we continue to move forward in our life when we experience setbacks or roadblocks in our current lives. And these roadblocks could include things like workplace inequity, injustice, or discrimination. As this is International Women's Day, I want to focus on 4 incredible but maybe lesser known 20th century women of achievement in engineering and in technology, two of whom faced incredible roadblocks of inequity, injustice and discrimination, yet their positive and problem-solving mindsets, like mine, are exactly what has led them to be directly impactful on our lives today. But before I tell you about the four lesser known, let me refresh your memory about one woman who has been highlighted in the movie Hidden Figures. Katherine Johnson, the human computer, in 1953 joined the all-black computing section of what would become NASA. Katherine personally calculated the trajectory analysis for John Glenn's orbital mission, and he wasn't leaving this Earth until she gave the okay. Her mindset was not focused on the inordinate amount of discrimination she faced as a woman and as a woman of colour. She was focused on problem solving and the accuracy of her calculations, and nothing else. Now, on to the other Fab Four. Are the movies Cheaper by the Dozen and Bells on Their Toes familiar to you? A show of hands, anybody heard that movie? Fabulous. I grew up on these movies, so let me introduce you to engineering pioneer Lillian Gilbreth, who was born in 1878. The movies were written by two of Lillian's children, Ernestine and Frank Jr. Hollywood put their own filter on Lillian's stature and did not portray her as an engineer in the movies, just a mother of 12 children, which was an acknowledgement in itself, I believe. Lillian was an American psychologist, industrial engineer, consultant, educator, and who was an early pioneer in applying psychology to time and motion studies. She was one of the first female engineers to do a PhD, and she's considered to be the first industrial organisational psychologist. In 1911, Lillian and her husband Frank were equal partners in their engineering and management consultancy firm, and were efficiency and time and motion experts. They developed a new technique that used a motion picture camera to record work processes so that machinery could be redesigned to better suit workers' movements and reduce fatigue. The forerunner to ergonomics. They developed workplace innovations such as improved lighting and regular breaks and suggestion boxes for workplace well-being. Lillian led that company for decades after Frank's death in 1924, but experienced significant discrimination. So she pivoted to domestic or household efficiencies. The irony was that her children described her kitchen as a model inefficiency, and she had an aversion to housework and had a full-time housekeeper. But then I guess you do having 12 children. She was instrumental in the development of our modern kitchen. The work triangle is hers, and the linear kitchen layout that we use today is hers. She also invented the foot pedal garbage bin, wall light switches, added shelves to the inside of refrigerator doors, including the butter tray and the egg keeper, as well as a patent design for washing with a wastewater hose from your washing machine. What a woman. In the late 1920s, she created the Kitchen Practical, which had gas-powered appliances and the correct uniform height of the working surfaces, such as bench tops, sinks and stoves. In the 1940s, she was described as a genius in the art of living. Who has heard of Hedy Lamarr? Show of hands? Good. Hedy was both an incredibly beautiful actress and a brilliant female inventor in the 1930s and 40s. As an incredible beauty, she fought hard for her mind to be recognised, as no one took her seriously in the engineering community. when she wasn't playing a femme fatale besides Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy, she was inventing. During World War II, she devised a wireless method of encrypting signals to prevent enemy spies listening to sensitive pieces of information. She called it frequency hopping, and it blocked and jammed the signal, preventing anyone from following it. The Navy, US Navy, dismissed her invention, telling her she'd be more useful as the credible beauty that she was in selling war bonds rather than her invention. Not defeated though, she problem solved and raised $25 million because of her face. Without her, there would be no wireless communication today. In 2014, Hetty was inducted into the US National Inventors Hall of Fame, and she was dubbed the mother of Wi-Fi and other wireless communications like GPS and Bluetooth. And we can thank her very much. Then there was Elizabeth Feindler, who in the 1980s developed a prehistoric Google while at Stanford Research Institute, which oversaw internet addresses. If you wanted a domain, you had to go to Elizabeth. And this became the foundation for the modern internet. She is the one to thank for the .coms, .nets, and .govs that we use daily. And what about Radia Perlman, who in the 1980s invented the spanning tree algorithm and the spinning tree protocol, which transformed Ethernet from a single wire into a protocol that could handle large clouds, as in the cloud technology that we enjoy today. Radia is known as the mother of the internet. Lillian, Hetty, and Catherine in particular did not live in equitable times, but they trailblazed for the equity of opportunity that we experience now. They showed talent, tenacity, determination, and perseverance, which won them the respect that they richly deserved. They problem solved, pivoted, innovated, achieved, despite the obstacles and roadblocks and any limitations that other people wanted to place on them. So if innovation is a driver of change, then so is tenacity, perseverance, and determination. Too many people, in my opinion, hide behind a perception of barriers in our current world. And it's too easy to throw up your hands in the air and claim inequality, rather than just overcoming problems and barriers. I prefer to see women harnessing their brilliance in the form of leading by example, problem solving, striving for excellence, displaying perseverance, and showcasing their talent by doing, achieving, and innovating, not by complaining and pointing out injustices. All of these brilliant women and innovative women faced more injustices than we could ever dream of today. So we have it a lot easier than they did. They trailblazed for us. They problem solved their way to success, making it easier for us today. Injustices are a part of life. So in my mind, your ability to problem solve and not problem dwell and retell your victim drama story will enable you to succeed regardless of your gender. If my female clients complain about inequity or discrimination, I say, what would make you stand out for the right reasons? Do you think it's because you complain, or do you think it's because you'll get on with the job and do it? Truly, if it's that bad, why are you still there in that company? Move on, move forward, move up. You're not a tree staying in the one spot. You have options. I say to them, stop limiting yourself and allowing others to limit you. So my view is a lot more rosy than I don't buy into the notion, always, that people and women are being prevented from having equality. And the reason is because I personally have enacted equity of actions in today's workforce. For the last 25 years, I have been involved in recruiting today's workforce. I've recruited across the mining, engineering, disability, small business and local government sectors, with mining and engineering easily being perceived as male-dominated. I'm so pleased to say that not one of these organisations over the last 25 years has offered roles with gender discriminatory pay grades. A woman and a man are paid exactly the same for the job that they do. The term talent attraction and talent management emerged to illustrate that employing someone is not just about hiring. It's about attracting, investing in, upskilling, training, nurturing and managing talent so that the person becomes a long-term asset to the company, regardless of gender. I have placed women in mining roles such as chemical process engineers, underground coal mining electricians, fitters, feds and turners, and open cut miners like dump truck drivers. And I had the privilege of coaching the only 2 female squadron leaders at RAF Base Williamtown at the time in executive leadership. Hiring someone is more than just what can they do for your company. Over the last 25 years, particularly over the last 15, I have been involved in what is called behavioural-based and merit-based recruitment, where we look at the talent behaviours of people and the merit they will bring to an organisation by what they have done and achieved in the past. The notion is that if someone can showcase their past problem-solving workplace achievements, then it indicates that they could do this into the future. I ask a question like, tell me about a time when you've created a workplace innovation to a workplace problem. This gives the candidate an opportunity to showcase their talents about what challenges they faced, what parameters or constraints they were in, and how they created a solution to the problem. When I'm prepping people for interviews, to go to a job interview, I call it their show and tell moment, because that's exactly what they're going to do. They're showing and they're telling about their experiences. These real-life examples are then verifiable on reference check. And then the recruiter knows what competence the person holds and the person's future potential. In the mines, we went a step further and we also conducted what's called a competency-based assessment centre based on cultural fit. And that is attitude. Skills can be learned, but you cannot train someone out of a bad or an unsafe attitude in the mines. This doesn't work. And yeah, we won't go there. And the unsafe attitudes and the bad attitudes become obvious on assessment. So what we did was when female candidates presented with a better and safer attitude but less skill, we employed them over more skilled men and trained them up. Because it's really about the fact that they can actually learn the skills. If they have the right attitude to begin with, the world's their oyster. It is true that open cut mining companies, especially in coal, prefer female dump truck drivers because of their attitudes. I have 3 female resume clients who are now dump truck drivers to attest to that. Plus, and I have absolutely no influence on this one, my 21-year-old niece started her traineeship last year and now drives a 500-tonne dump truck up at Mount Arthur Coal. Did they have the skills to do this prior to going to the interview? No. Did they have the right attitudes? Yes. Successful people share common traits. They share vision, resilience, willingness to do what's required, tenacity, ingenuity, innovative mindset, cooperation, collaboration, and teamwork that focuses on the greater good, not just individual achievement. These merit characteristics translate to talent behaviours in the workplace. By having the right attitude and problem-solving mindset, you create your own opportunities. In terms of creating equity for tomorrow, today I'm going to call out an action for you, which ties in beautifully with Jennifer Jones's Imagine Rotary theme, which is creating the vision of what could be. I love this, personally, because you have to, as I said before, imagine the opportunity with your mind before you can see it with your eyes. Even the most talented people have had in the past and in the future, still have to be presented with opportunity. Someone, somewhere, had to notice, to engage, to agree to commission, to employ, to listen to fund, to promote, to encourage, to mentor, or to buy from every trailblazing person on this planet. Their talent had to be recognised first. Michelangelo had to be given an opportunity to paint his vision in the Sistine Chapel. Sir Christopher Wren had to be given an opportunity to present his vision to rebuild St Paul's Cathedral after the 1666 fire of London. Mozart had to be given an opportunity to play and be heard at the age of 5. Regardless of who provided the opportunity, an opportunity had to be given for them to innovate, to create, and to succeed. This gets a little bit emotional. Equity is created when we recognise talent and provide the opportunity. If we look at Lillian Gilbreth, she and her husband were equals in their business. And in 1911, this would defy the accepted convention of the day. Frank recognised Lillian's talent and provided the opportunity of equity. So ask yourself, do you recognise talent? Do you provide opportunity? Because it's not about the big corporates, it's about individuals. Opportunity and indeed equity is created by the mindset of the person creating the opportunity. The more closed off the thinking, the more inequitable the situation will be. The more inclusive and visionary the thinking, the more equitable the situation will be. One of Rotary's pillars is service above self. And I know that this philosophy is dear to the hearts of just about everyone in this room. So today, rather than think on a global scale, remember the expression, the power of one. And just think about your own sphere of influence. As employers, parents, grandparents, and friends, are you a person that creates and facilitates opportunities for others? Do you connect people together? Do you promote or buy from people who are starting out? You can make a difference. So, think about who you can support, who you can help, who you can encourage, because it's time to share their talent. My call to action to you is, over the next 3 days, pick 3 people that you think could benefit from a boost, even if they are a family member. Don't worry about nepotism right now. It's about opportunity. My challenge to you is to utilise your sphere of influence and connect them to your wider circle. Create and facilitate opportunities for others. If you can't make introductions, if you feel that I'm not in the circles anymore, that's fine. You don't escape what you can do. Then encourage, inspire, coach, mentor, or buy from people who are starting out. And share their social media posts. You might have to get your grandkids onto that if you're not so favoured with social media, but they'll help you. Sharing social media posts takes 5 seconds of your time, each time, costs you absolutely nothing, and it could be worth everything to the person whose post it is. Let's flood social media with good deeds. Let's keep it going. So, here's my involvement. Between Monday and Friday next week, share their information with me, and I will share it with my wider network for the month of March. Open as many doors as you can for as many people as you can, so that we can continue to head towards an equitable future for everybody. Not just for women, even though this is International Women's Day. I'm talking about people with disabilities, people who have experienced challenges in life, people who are starting again, people who have brilliant ideas. It's often said, it's not who you know, sorry, correct that. It's often said that it's not what you know, it's who you know. I think it's more about whether the person you are meeting are people of vision or people of status quo. People of status quo tend to be driven by fear of change, whereas people of vision create and open doors of opportunity. Attitude, mindset, is a choice. If we all had that status quo mindset, we'd all be still living in caves. Someone has to come forward with vision. So let's recap. The recognition of talent and the provision of opportunity creates equity. You will now recognise talent and provide opportunity, creating the equity of today and tomorrow. So together, let's raise people up to reach their full potential and connect them to opportunity. Let's skill people up so that their innovations become our daily norms, like the kitchen triangle. Let's create the leaders of tomorrow by opportunities that we create today. Equity is for everyone. Create a lasting legacy from your life's work by recognising talent and creating opportunity. Because as my business tagline says, life was meant to be enjoyed, not endured. Happy International Women's Day.
I'd like to thank Anne McDowell for such an informative talk, and I really do look forward to taking on the challenge of flooding social media with good deeds and open doors for as many other people as we know, and making it an equitable future for all. So please join me once again in thanking Anne. So just to keep the procedures moving along, I'd like to call up our Mayor, Brian Palmer, to have a little chat with us all before we move into our International Women's Day scholarships. So welcome, Mayor Palmer.
Thank you very much, Leah, and good afternoon to everyone here. It's wonderful to be able to celebrate this year's International Women's Day with all of you here today. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the Salamander Rotary Club for putting this day on. It's been a couple of years since this day has been able to be had, but I'd like to thank Leah, President Harry, President-elect Rita, and all the team at Salamander Rotary for bringing us all together here today.